Hi, I'm Salena, wellness coach, self-care alchemist, and founder of Salyana Essentials. When I first launched this Burnout Diaries series, I told the story of this experience in just a few minutes. But this one tells the full truth because this moment didn't just sting. It split something open, and it became one of the cracks where burnout quietly crept in. There's a certain kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from a betrayal by a stranger. It comes from being misunderstood by someone you genuinely showed up for. I was managing a team under pressure, tight deadlines, shifting expectations, but I didn't just lead the team, I poured into them. I was intentional about our culture. I didn't want it to just be about output. I did one-on-one check-ins twice a month, celebrated birthdays, decorated desks, brought in birthday cards for the entire office to sign. I coordinated potlucks and little baby showers and wedding showers. I encouraged people to take time off, especially on their birthdays. So when one of my team members got married, I didn't just say, "Hey, congratulations." I took the day off and I drove an hour from where I lived. I brought my daughter along with me to help, and I showed up early. We got there before the bride, and we helped the bride decorate her wedding venue, with love, thoughtfulness, and care. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. So when I was called into HR a few weeks later, I thought maybe it was just like a compliance check-in or just something that was routine. But when I walked into the HR lady's office, the tone was off. And she started asking me about team meetings, vacation approvals, and how I handled requests for time off. And then she said it. Someone on your team, and this was the same person I had just shown up for, had gone to HR with a complaint that I wasn't supportive, that I hadn't approved time off, and that she felt singled out. And I was completely stunned, not defensive, not angry, just, gut punched. My mind raced. I kept thinking, like, did I do something wrong? Had I overlooked the request? Because I prided myself on being fair, on being present, and I lived work-life balance for my team. I wanted that for them. And it took everything I had in me to stay composed, to not walk back to my office in tears. So when I got back, I closed my door and I didn't open it for the rest of the day. I just sat there numb, and I kept replaying every meeting, every conversation, and I realized something quietly. I realized that I had been trying so hard to prove my value through loyalty that I had abandoned my own sense of boundaries. And maybe, for real, I had abandoned my self-worth. And here's the thing about burnout. It doesn't always arrive with a dramatic collapse. Sometimes it's just slowly. It's slow. It's an unraveling of the trust. It's an unraveling of confidence, of the belief that what you give will somehow be enough. And that moment for me, it really shifted how I interacted with my team. And I started second guessing my openness, and I became more reserved and more measured, because the pain wasn't just about her words or the fact that she went to HR. It really was about the fact that I could give so much and still be misunderstood. And on that drive home that day, I didn't listen to any music. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there. I drove in silence. And I just kept thinking to myself. And really, for the first time in a while, I asked myself, What do I need right now? And the answer was simple. I needed to feel safe in my own care again. In the days that followed, I still had to lead and I still had to show up. I still had to manage my team. And I'll be honest, the first couple of days, it was very challenging. It was very challenging for me and to move beyond my ego. And when it came time for our next one-on-one, I sat across that same team member who had gone to HR. And she didn't know that I knew. And I didn't tell her. Instead, I did what I always did. I asked her how she was doing. I asked her if she needed anything, if there were any blockers I could help remove. And she responded like everything was normal. And in that moment, I felt an extreme wave of sadness because I realized I had expected reciprocity, some kind of acknowledgement, some clarity or truth, but nothing came. And so I made a quiet decision to protect my energy. I still showed up, I still led, but I no longer led with my emotional reserves. I began creating internal boundaries that allowed me to care without depleting myself. And I stopped taking things at face value. I trusted actions over words. I checked in, but I didn't overextend. I'm going to say that again because that was some bars. I checked in, but I didn't overextend. One more again. I checked in, but I didn't overextend. And it wasn't bitterness, it was self-preservation. And slowly that became the new form of leadership for me. One rooted, not improving, but in pacing myself. That weekend, I returned to something I hadn't done in years, journaling. And I journaled by candlelight. I didn't have any prompts. I didn't have any expectations. I just had a pen, some paper, and a candle burning. And I wrote everything that I couldn't say aloud, how hurt I felt, how unseen I suddenly felt in a place that I had once felt so proud to lead. How tired I was of feeling like I had to overextend just to be perceived as enough. And as the candle burned, I felt something soften. It didn't fix it, it just released it. If you've ever had your heart bruised by misunderstanding, if you've been the one who showed up only to feel unseen, I invite you to try this. Light a candle, preferably something warm and floral. Grab a journal or even a scrap piece of paper. Write down one moment that made you feel invisible. Then write the truth of what you actually gave. And let your words hold the care that others may have missed. That doesn't make you care less. It doesn't make that care any less real. It doesn't make your value disappear. And you're allowed to reclaim your energy to give yourself the recognition you give so freely to others. And the Radiant Roots Retreat was born from this very knowing that women like us need space to receive, not just to rest, but recognition of our own worth, our wounds, our wholeness. If this story touched something tender in you, you're not alone. Subscribe to the Burnout Diaries. And if you're ready to finally pour into yourself, learn more about the Radiant Roots Retreat because your care matters. And it's time you started receiving some too.